And now, God, open my mouth so that I can speak. Open our ears so that we can hear. And open our hearts so that we can change by your power and through your grace. Amen. Please be seated. Newsflash. I love a parade. I know you're all shocked to hear this. One of my favorite things to do every year has always been to watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. I love the marching bands. I love the floats with artists exhibiting their amazing and sometimes dubious lip-syncing skills. I love the balloons, and the Rockettes always make me nostalgic for my Papa John, who loved them so much. But my absolute favorite moment comes with the arrival of Santa Claus. It's said that the arrival of Santa marks the official start of the Christmas season. But as much as I love it, as a child it also confused me. If Christmas Day is supposed to be Santa's big day, then what the heck is he doing there on Thanksgiving? I mean, I might get it if there was an elf with a proclamation or a reindeer with a note tied to her collar or even just Mrs. Claus. But Santa? Something's not right with that. I think that's how my parents realized I was a very linear thinker. I have the same question about Jesus today. Today marks the beginning of something for us as well. It's the first Sunday of Advent. It's the beginning of a new year in the life of the church. We get to turn a page and begin again. I think many of us could use with a healthy turn of a page right about now and welcome the opportunity to move beyond an abundance of conflict and chaos that seems to face us every day and to try to look ahead to something new. Be that as it may, for us linear thinkers, this moment in the annual life of the church can be confusing. Why is it that our church year starts now? Why don't we start a few weeks down the line with the birth of Jesus? I find myself thrown by that, and I'm not sure Jesus is helping me today as I try to figure it out. First of all, if we're at the beginning, why is grown-up Jesus here now? And why does he come with this message that kind of leaves us all feeling a little bit on edge? He tells us to keep awake, keep our eyes open, to keep watch for the dawn of a new day that God has promised, to expect that it will come. That sounds good, but the Jesus we encounter today is also rather daunting. I mean, it sounds a bit like he's threatening us. What does he mean, one will be taken and one will be left? I feel a sense of dread every time I read it. I think perhaps it has something to do with wondering which one I will end up being when the time comes, and having no idea really which one I should hope to be. And Jesus offers little here in the way of either clarity or comfort. Will it be better to be the one taken or the one left? Give me something. I need something. I've got to know. I mean, what if I prepare for the wrong one? What's going to happen? Now, for those of us, this guy, who don't deal well with the unknown, this kind of message may bring nothing but challenge, because living in a space where the outcome is not clear takes a lot more resolve than sometimes we feel like we have. I think that's precisely the space Jesus wants us in today. He intends to make us uncomfortable with his words. He wants us to be on the edge of our seats wondering what's going to happen next, because it's the only way to snap us out of our complacency. Get ready, he says, because you never know what's around the next corner. It also means that we shouldn't be so sure that we know what Jesus' coming into being is going to look like. What if it looks like being taken? What if it looks like being left? What if it looks like something we can't imagine? What if it looks like being right here, right now? I was reminded of a commentary I read a while back that said, as Christians, we expect to find Jesus in the unexpected places, in the company of unlikely people, at any time of the day or night. We expect the unexpected. We try to ready ourselves for the possibility of divine disruptions as the Spirit moves people and situations into our line of vision. And I thought to myself, really? That sounds nice, but do we really do that? I'm not so sure. It seems to me that we're much less likely to be prepared to experience the divine when we're rushing to see Wicked Part 2 for the second time, or unexpectedly sitting next to a stranger at Thanksgiving dinner, than we are here on Sunday mornings, or at the ocean, or on the mountaintop, or any of those places we go to find God. I think we all have our places where we expect to find God. What if Jesus can come to us in the concession line? What if Jesus might show up asking you to pass the sweet potatoes, or fixing your Starbucks peppermint mocha, or in the face of the man with the rough, dirty hands who's handling the smog check that you didn't even know you needed? Perhaps the reason that Jesus offers these descriptions of two in the field or two grinding meal is because at any moment, in the midst of our everyday lives, everything can change. If we only look for God in the moments that we think God is going to show up, are we actually doing more to shut God out than to invite God in? And still, there are many of us who indeed may appreciate that Jesus might show up in those moments. But I wonder about the other moments, the ones we can't possibly plan for, like a cancer diagnosis, or a divorce, or getting laid off, or when your entire neighborhood is engulfed in flames and wiped out. I would venture a guess that there are a lot of us here today who've had moments, especially in the last year, where we were sure God was nowhere to be found in what was going on. Can you think of how that felt? If you can, then maybe you have some sense of what Matthew's community may have been feeling. About 40 years after Jesus' death, they were wondering why Jesus had not come back to them. They were wondering why things had not worked out how they expected them to. Most of the apostles were dead and Jerusalem had been destroyed. And yet through Matthew's gospel, Jesus reminds them to remain watchful even in the midst of despair. If our sense of God being present is bound up in things going the way we want, or everything being okay, then there is a good chance we may be left feeling dissatisfied. More importantly, we risk not seeing Jesus show up for us in the person who administers our chemo, or the comfort and warmth of the person who sits and holds our hand when we cry, or in the courage and strength of first responders who rush to help us when disaster strikes. Just before our passage today, Jesus paints a rather dire picture of what the world will look like before he comes again. The sun will be darkened, the moon will not give light, the stars will fall from the skies. These are the things you should look for. Great! For those of us who love checklists, this works perfectly. Truly, I tell you, this generation will not pass away until all of these things have taken place. Awesome. I got it. Thank you for the tip. But then today, he goes on. But about that day and hour, no one knows. Only the Father. Wait a second. Is he trying to confuse us? I don't think so. I think what Jesus is doing here is reminding us of our need always to be on the lookout, to keep open to the fact that he can, will, and probably does show up in the least likely moments of our lives. And it's our job to keep watch, to have our hearts and minds open to every possibility of encountering him everywhere. You see, the promise of Advent is that there's never a moment that God cannot work with, and never a person that God cannot work through. And here's the thing. If you have the potential to experience Jesus through anyone you encounter, then that must mean that anyone who encounters you has the potential to experience Jesus through you. The question I always ask at this time of year is, what if Jesus is not coming back so much to us, but through us? If this is the case, then we aren't the only ones who are waiting. Jesus is too. It's Jesus that's there around the corner in every face at any moment, preparing to be discovered. That's why we start here. Advent is a time to be reminded of that, and we need this time in our community right now to allow ourselves to put down our expectations of how things are going and to lean into a state of hopeful expectancy. Let's use this time to see with new eyes and prepare for what's to come by taking on the discipline of seeking God in all our moments. That's what makes Paul's words so perfect for this new day. You know what time it is. How it is now the moment for you to wake from sleep. Because salvation is nearer to us now than when we became believers. The night is far gone and the day is near. My friends, something new and wonderful is on its way and will be here at any moment. Let's do everything we can to be ready.